Hi and welcome to Sacred Spaces. I'm Laura Kelly and today we're meeting interior designer Dominique Hunter. Dominique, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, tell us where we are. What is your sacred space?
Today we are in the grounds of the Heide Museum. It's the former home behind us of John and Sunday Reid. They lived here between the years of 1967 to about 1980. It's really a beautiful place to live.
Now, they were very well-known arts patrons. Did they set up this place as a gallery initially?
As part of the brief, I understand, to David McGlashan, who was the architect for this building, part of the brief suggested that they would potentially turn this to a gallery, and when they first moved into it, they wanted to house a lot of the artworks that they already had.
Now, from the outside, it looks like quite an imposing fortress-like building. Is that what it's like all the way through?
No, I think you'd be quite amazed. It actually is guarded from the front of the entry of the property. Once you move down into the spaces, you'll be able to see through the architecture, the light, the lines, the material, that the internal spaces are really quite open and are really full of natural light.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Would you mind showing us through today?
Certainly not. Come on in.
Dominique, we're sitting inside here and I can see what you mean. It doesn't feel like a fortress at all. Tell us a little bit about this room. What makes this so special?
As a living room, this is a pretty amazing two-storage space. It has such an openness to the outside. The colour of the plants, the colour of the fauna is just spectacular. And it really highlighted by the fact that the simplicity of the materials used in this room set up a framework for the greenery outside.
And in terms of the simplicity of this material, what have they used to create this?
All of the walls are made of a Mount Gambier limestone. The flooring and the cabinetry is all made from terrazzo. We've got all the timber framed windows and doors, and then we've got large expanses of glass, which is obviously pivotal in bringing the natural light into this space. To me, a space like this has an openness, a lightness to it because of the restraint of materials and the quality of the materials used.
It's also got a real sense of calm and warmth in here as well, which is surprising considering how simple it is.
I think the fact that we're surrounded by such a solid building and such strong materials gives us that feeling of stability and foundation. And the fact that it's such a natural extension of this building to be part of these gardens makes us calm, makes us want to be here, makes us not want to leave.
I don't want to leave.
I can understand.
Now, as an interior designer, what was your reaction when you first walked into this building? Was it love at first sight?
Love at first sight. As soon as I walked into the entry has had some refurbishment work done to it to bring it to building code, the same as the interiors of this space. But walking through a space that flows so freely, spaces that make you feel quite enclosed and intimate and then open up into large expanses, yet, as you said, it doesn't feel like a cold, open space. There's a warmth, there's a feeling to it. There's a number of written prose by different friends of Sunday Reid who had said that when this building, their home, became part of the museum, that her laughs and her sunshine actually rubbed off onto the stone in this building.
Wow.
I think that's true.
And in terms of John and Sunday Reid, such sort of iconic Australian figures and so well known in the art scene, I mean, in terms of what they were wanting to get out of this building, why did they choose to build it this way, do you think?
It's my understanding, and from the documents written and from the images shown, that their original house that's now called Heide 1 is actually quite close to the road. The location of this was done for a number of reasons. David McGlashan, I understand that's one of his greatest gifts, was to be able to place buildings beautifully in a site. And he's done that. He's done it further away from the road so that it's much more of a journey to get to. It's a lot more hidden from the general street public, and it is much more of a sanctuary tucked down here closer to the river. What's also beautiful about it is the way in which it was framed by the trees that Sunday and John planted. So it's aligned with the trees, the tree line, and steps down the hill in a number of different masses, which makes it perfect for the site.
And it's really that feeling that the building is not imposed on the site, isn't it? That it actually works with the surroundings.
Even though, I agree, even though it does feel quite fortress-like in the fact that there's parapets, there's strong walls, there's a real differentiation between inside and outside, it's the layering, it's the different levels, it's the use of finish, it's the relationship of the gardens to the interiors, it's a relationship of the timber and the framing of the windows that makes it quite superb.
Now, I'd love to have a look. At the moment, we're in John and Sunday Reid's what was originally the living room. Would we be able to have a look at what their old bedroom was?
For sure. It used to be administration offices for a while, but I understand it's been stripped of the administration task, and now it's open as part of the gallery.
Fantastic. Well, let's have a look at that. So Dominique, where are we standing right now?
We're actually in John Reid's study, and it's actually separated from the main bedroom by a part-height wall, and then their bathroom's on the other side behind another timber detailed wall. In here, this is really quite beautiful. I can imagine working in here and not wanting to leave. The view to the gardens, obviously now there's some pretty significant sculptures out in the gardens that you can view. The fact that the trees are now so grown gives it such an element of privacy. The interior detailing of the bench, just like downstairs with the bench in the living room, is also excuse me, of the similar finishes as we've got to the rest of the house. We've got the terrazzo top, we've got the limestone substructure, and then timber detailing in the file cabinet. So to be able to work here would be quite productive, I'd imagine, only for the fact that it's quiet, it's beautiful, there is minimal chaos, there's an order of finish, and the view to outside would make it somewhere really quite special to work.
It does feel as though it feels like a place that you could definitely be productive, doesn't it?
And it certainly feels like a place where we have to hush.
Yes, yeah. It does have that really, it does have that quiet, calm, sacred sort of feeling, the whole building.
Very tranquil.
Now, one of the sad things is that John and Sunday Reid didn't actually live in Heide 2 for very long. All of these amazing rooms that are set up, they weren't actually here for very long before they both passed away, and it got turned into a gallery. Is that correct?
That's correct. They were actually living here for a number of years, but then just before they passed away, they actually moved back into the Heide 1 house.
So after seeing this amazing space that was set up for John Reid as a study space, let's check out the bedroom. And you also mentioned that downstairs there's a kitchen that we can see as well.
It's actually still the room where the kitchen was. All of the kitchen joinery has been removed, but there's a lower drop ceiling. There's a really lovely scale and proportion in the room that is worth looking at.
Well, let's go and have a look at the rest of the space. So we're inside what was John and Sunday Reid's bedroom, but I'm finding it hard to believe that this was their bedroom because it feels so ready-made to be a gallery space.
Well, a great room to wake up in.
Oh, amazing.
But you're exactly right. It does feel remarkably perfect as an art gallery. I understand that part of the briefing was in fact to make sure that there was significant space for the artworks that Sunday and John Reid had, and there would have been a significant amount of artworks that they would have had. I also understand too that it was the intention that this potentially may turn into a gallery. So as you can see, the walls are perfectly set up for large masses of space. There's a considerable amount of natural light, and the architecture only enhances these artworks. They look like they're perfectly right sitting on this wall.
And there's an amazing amount of artworks, you know, from Sidney Nolan and Arthur Boyd, and there's John Percival and John Olsen hanging on the walls around here. And a lot of these actually came from John and Sunday Reid's collection, didn't they? I mean, they had a lot of artwork in the house when they were living here.
A significant amount. When they were in Heide 1, there was a large amount of local artists that would pass through, stay for visits, were nurtured or patronised by the Sunday and John Reid family. So yes, there would have been a significant amount of art done at the time back in Heide 1 and then transferred here and hung.
Now, another famous thing about John and Sunday Reid is that they put on afternoon tea and dinner parties and things like that for these groups of bohemian artists. So I'd love to check out what used to be the kitchen space. Would you mind showing us that?
Sure, come downstairs.
Dominique, we're in the final bit of the house that you wanted to show us. Now, this used to be the kitchen, is that right?
I understand so. What makes this room really special is the fact that even though it's obviously part of the same house, it has such a different feel to it. We've got a really lowered ceiling height here because just above us is the conversation pit that was in front of the fireplace. So that's quite cosy and it's stepped down. So therefore this ceiling's lowered. The joinery, I assume, has been taken from both sides of here. But the concealed lighting to the sides of the lowered ceiling really does make this a very modern space.
Yes.
And the detailing of the timber and the concealed lighting is something that's done quite a lot in present-day architecture and design. So it's really quite progressive and innovative for the time.
And as well, the view from here, we're looking out onto an enclosed courtyard, which is quite an interesting view as well, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Outside there's actually a number of dissecting walls that enclose the courtyard, and there's a number of layers and levels from the height of inside the house. A pond or a waterway just outside the doors would have made the sounds, the smells, the sights just further enhanced in this room.
What you get from this space is just so much calm and openness, and also a sense of privacy. I mean, there really is a feeling that you're tucked away from the world, but that you can access all this natural beauty. It's amazing.
It definitely does feel like a sanctuary. It feels like a place that you could hide. It feels like a place you could work, laugh, enjoy company of others, and feel very, very safe.
Well, Dominique, thank you so much for showing us through your sacred space. It's been an amazing choice and a real honour to see it, so thank you very much.
Thanks, it was a pleasure.